So now let us enter into the first verse of the second valli. Page number 65, verse number 1. Anyachreyah anyatutaiva preyah te ubhe nānārthe puruṣaṃ sinītaḥ tayoḥ śreya ādadānasya sādhu bhavati hīyate'rthādya preyo vṛṇīte. Anyachreyah anyatutaiva preyah te ubhe nānārthe puruṣaṃ sinītaḥ tayoḥ śreya ādadānasya sādhu bhavati hīyate'rthādya preyo vṛṇīte. So what does Yamaraj say? So the teaching begins along with the praise of Nachiketa. O Nachiketa, Yamaraj says, Śreyah anyat eva. In this world, there are two paths. The path of Śreyas on one side, the path of Preyas on the other side. So what is being said here? Śreyah anyat eva. The Śreyas is indeed different. Preyah anyat eva uta. And Preyas too is certainly different. So they are two different paths. The path of Śreyas and the path of Preyas. Te ubhe, both of them, both these paths. Puruṣaṃ nānārthe sinītaḥ. Both these paths, sinītaḥ, they tie down, they bind the person. Nānārthe, towards different goals, towards different objectives. So these two paths are different and they tie the person to different goals and objectives. Tayoḥ, of the two. Śreyah ādadānasya, the one who chooses the path of Śreyas, sādhu bhavati, for him everything good happens, everything auspicious happens. The one who chooses the path of Śreyas, everything good happens to him. Yah preya vṛṇīte, the one who chooses the path of preyas. Arthat hīyate, hīyate means he gets deviated, he falls. Falls from where? Arthat, from the supreme goal, from the highest objective. So, what is being said here in this verse? There are two paths, Nachiketa. The path of Śreyas and the path of Preyas. They are two different paths with two different goals. These paths, they tie the person down to these two paths. Out of this, the one who chooses the path of Śreyas, everything auspicious and good happens to him. But the one who chooses the path of Preyas, he falls from the highest objective, the highest goal. So now we have to understand what are these two paths, the path of Śreyas and the path of Preyas. From a very superficial standpoint, in a general way, this path of Śreyas and Preyas, they are defined as that path which I like to do is the path of Preyas. There is something which I like. The mind tells, I like it, let us do it. So this path which I love to do is called the path of Preyas. And there is another path. What is that? The path of Śreyas. That is the path which is the right thing to do, which is the good thing to do. So the intellect says, this is good, let us do it. So the path of the good is called Śreyas, and the path of the pleasant is called Preyas. The path of the desirable is called Śreyas and the path of pleasurable is called Preyas. This is a very simple definition. So one is something which our intellect asks us to do. The other is something which our mind asks us to do. Intellect is the faculty which decides based on right and wrong. Mind is the faculty which decides based on likes and dislikes. Intellect says this is the right thing to do, let us do it. Mind says this is what I love to do, let us do it. Right? Two faculties in us asking us to decide based on their choice. Now, how many combinations are possible? So, based on these two, we have 4 combinations. Number 1, that which is good and I love doing it. Intellect says, yes, this is the right thing to do. Mind says, I love it. Both of them, they support doing a thing. What can be the examples? Study of the scriptures. Intellect says, this is the right thing to do. And the mind says, yes, I love it. So then there is no problem with it. There is no tug of war. You love it and that's the right thing. Selfless service, mind says, I love doing it. Intellect says, that's the right thing to do. Prayer, yoga, pranayama, etc. Intellect says the best things. Mind says, yes, I love it. There is no problem. So, the intellect says this is good. The mind says, I like it. No problem. They agree. Mind and intellect agree. The second option, intellect says this is not the right thing. Mind also says, I don't like it also. Let us not do it. Smoking, drinking, drugs, etc. That is not the right thing and I don't like it. Again, there is no problem because mind and intellect, they are one. Now the third option. Intellect says this is a good thing, the right thing. Mind says, but I don't like it. For example, discipline in life. Mind doesn't like it, but intellect says this is the right thing. When we are sick, sometimes we will have to take bitter medicines. Intellect says this is the right thing. Only with the medicine you will get cured. Mind says, but I don't like it. So there are situations where the intellect says do it, but the mind doesn't want to do it. Criticisms. Intellect says this is good for you, but mind says I don't like it. So this is the third option. And the fourth option is intellect says this is wrong, don't do it, but the mind says but I love it. A common example given is a junk food. Intellect says this is not good for your health, but the mind says but I love it. Very difficult to control the taste. Finding fault with others. Intellect says don't do it, but the mind loves it. Gossip. Mind loves it, though we know it is wrong. Hearing one's own praise. Intellect says don't do it, but the mind, it loves it. So these are the 4 combinations. Now, in those combinations where mind doesn't agree with the intellect, the last 2 ones, something is good but I don't like it, something is bad but I like it. In such cases there is a tug of war. We really find it difficult. Mind is pulling us in one direction. The intellect is pulling us in another direction. The mind is pulling us towards Preyas. The intellect is pulling us towards Śreyas. Now there is a struggle. And who will win in this struggle? The one who is stronger will win. Now we have 2 options. All the time listen to intellect and live life. Or all the time listen to this mind, follow the path of Preyas and live life. So what happens? So this verse says, śreya ādadānasya sādhu bhavati. A person who listens to the intellect and follows the path of Śreyas, everything good, noble and auspicious will happen to that person. What about the other person? hīyate'rthādya. He will destroy himself. And this is true. A person who constantly listens to his intellect, in such a person the intellect becomes stronger and stronger. The mind becomes weaker and weaker, and a time comes when whatever is right, I start loving doing it. So we can say mind and intellect becomes one. Integrated. So such a personality is called integrated personality. So what is integrated personality? You love doing what is right. The mind, intellect becoming one. So you start enjoying the path of Śreyas. You love walking the path of Śreyas. But what happens when we constantly listen to our mind and walk the path of prayers? In such a person, mind becomes strong, intellect becomes weak, and such a person will have a terrible mind, indisciplined mind, uncontrolled mind, untamed mind, impure mind, and such a mind becomes our worst enemy. So such a person destroys himself. So all these drunkards and chain smokers and drug addicts, they all fall under this category. Right. Now this is a general meaning, but now since we are studying Upanishad, we have to go for a little deeper meaning. So first let us define what is the path of Preyas. Now this definition will be useful in the study of Upanishads. What is Preyas? Now all of us, we want happiness in life. We want peace, we want security. So basically we all want to be happy. Now what is the way in which we can get happiness? So we find that whenever I am in a conducive environment, I am happy. An environment which I like. So what is the definition of a conducive environment? Environment where my physical, emotional and intellectual needs are met. Such an environment is called a conducive environment. So what are the physical needs? Food, shelter, clothing, etc. So in an environment where I get good food to eat, a good place to sleep, good house with all kinds of comforts and conveniences, so many servants to serve, big house, big car, lot of money. So then all these factors create a conducive environment around me which is at the physical level. There is a conducive environment at the physical level. So with wealth, I can create a conducive environment around me at the physical level. But merely because my physical environment is conducive doesn't mean that I have to be happy. What are the other needs? I have emotional needs. What do you mean emotional needs? When I have people around me who love me, who trust me, who respect me, you see, so these are all emotional and intellectual needs. The people around me should love me, respect me, value my presence, give importance to me, give importance to my words, give importance to my advice, take me seriously. So these are all emotional and intellectual needs. I expect love, respect and trust from others. You will always find that in such places, some places where you go, your physical needs are taken care well, stay, food, etc. But then those people don't love you, don't respect you, then we don't like to stay in such place. We want to escape. Though physical needs are met, but a place where we don't get love or respect, we don't want to stay there. So that means what? Other than physical needs, we also have emotional and intellectual needs. So all three things together, physical, emotional and intellectual, when all these three needs are met, we can say I am in a conducive environment because that environment gives me happiness. So what is this path of prayers? In this path of prayers, you put forth effort in order to create a conducive environment around you. So what does a preyarthi do? The one who seeks prayers is called preyarthi. What will he do? In which direction will be his efforts? His efforts will be in trying to improve the environment around him. His entire focus is upon the external environment. Efforts are directed in order to improve the external environment. So such a person is called a preyarthi. Why is he doing so? He is doing so because he has found in his life that whenever I am in a conducive environment, I am happy. When all the physical needs are met, I am happy. When there are people around me who love me, respect me, trust me, etc., I am happy. So therefore, let me create an environment where all these needs are met. So in this direction, he puts forth effort. So this is called the path of Preyas. The path where efforts are directed towards improving the external environment. Now comes the path of Śreyas. Now here is another person. He also feels that yes, when I am in a conducive environment, I am happy. But then he is able to think a little deeper. What are his thoughts? He thinks, no doubt conducive environment is a source of happiness. But the problem is, you can't guarantee a conducive environment all the time. Because it is something where I don't have any control. In fact, most of the time, 90% of the time, I am put in a choiceless situation where I don't have a choice to choose my environment. Neighbors are problematic. What can you do? You have no choice. Mother-in-law is creating trouble. You have no choice. Daughter-in-law is creating trouble. You have no choice. Children are problematic. You have no choice. There are so many situations in life where you have no choice. So therefore, this person thinks, depending upon the external environment for happiness may not work always, because external environment is not in our control. But happiness is something which I want all the time. External environment cannot guarantee that. So therefore, let me try to know what is this happiness, where is it coming from, what is the source. So he starts going deep within. He introspects into the signs of happiness, the source of happiness, so that he can control happiness, so that he can always be happy. So then he finds that happiness has something to do with peace of mind. When the mind is peaceful, I am happy irrespective of my external environment. When my mind is miserable, disturbed, I am miserable irrespective of my external environment. So therefore, the conclusion is, it is the state of mind which decides happiness. If the mind is peaceful, I am happy. If the mind is disturbed, I am unhappy. So therefore, what should I do? Instead of focusing too much on the external environment, let me give priority to my state of mind. So he goes deep within. He does all kinds of sadhanas in order to make the mind peaceful and cheerful. Now, what is the law which is governing the mind? The law which is governing the mind is, if your thoughts are noble and good, you will be cheerful. If your thoughts are negative, you will be disturbed. This is a simple law. If your thoughts are positive, you have a peaceful, cheerful mind. If your thoughts are negative, you will have a disturbed mind. This is a law. So therefore, what should I do in order to be happy and peaceful all the time? There is only one thing to be done. Ensure that the mind is entertaining good, noble, positive thoughts. So whenever the thoughts are negative, replace it with the positive thoughts, good thoughts, substitute it, and then entertain those positive thoughts. This is the sure method of remaining happy. Now, what is the advantage here? You don't have to depend upon the external environment. As far as thoughts are concerned, it is in your control. You can choose your thoughts. You can train your mind to think positive. It is possible. It is in your hands. You don't have to depend on anyone. So therefore, you become environment independent as far as happiness is concerned. The preyarthi, he depends on the external environment. His happiness goes ups and down depending upon the external environment. Whereas this person, his happiness is comparatively stable, because his happiness depends upon thoughts and he has to a great extent control over thoughts. Now this very same person, Śreyarthi, who is working on his mind, he understands that there are certain situations where you can never be able to entertain positive thoughts. For example, death. Now, what positive thoughts will you have? It is going to put an end to your existence. It is going to take away everything from you. How can you consider that as positive? Old age, disease, how can you consider that as positive? So therefore, he goes deeper into the knowledge of right living, and then he finds that there is only one way in which I can attain true happiness, and that is by knowing myself. So such a person who is a seeker of truth, who is a seeker of happiness, such a person stumbles upon self-knowledge, the knowledge of the self, and he comes to know that I am Satchit Ananda Swarupa, I am not this physical body. I am the witnessing consciousness of this body. And what is the nature of this consciousness? It is Sat, existence. Chit, consciousness. Anand, blissful. So therefore, I don't have to depend on my BMI for my happiness. My nature is bliss. So what I have to do is just abide in the self. This is all what I need to do. Whatever I am seeking in life, peace, security, happiness, etc., everything is already available in the self. So therefore, solution to all problems of my life is abidance in the self. This is where he finally ends. So such a person who works upon himself, who tries to improve his mind, who tries to gain the knowledge of the self, who tries to find peace and solace in the self, such a person is called Śreyarthi. And this path is called the path of Śreyas. Now please understand the two paths. The path of Preyas, I try to find happiness by improving the external environment, by creating a conducive environment around me. This is the direction of effort of a Preyarthi. What about Śreyarthi? He is not very much involved in creating a conducive environment. He goes within and then he tries to abide in the self. So, in the path of Preyas, the effort is put in the external environment. In the path of Śreyas, you put forth effort within. So, Preyas means putting forth effort outside, Śreyas means putting forth effort inside. Preyas means transforming the external environment, Śreyas means self-transformation, transforming the self. Preyas means making the world the goal of life. Śreyas means making God the goal of life. So, a Preyarthi makes God a means and world the end, the goal. So, for a Preyarthi, world is the goal, God is only a means to achieve the world. For a Preyarthi, world is the goal. So, such a bhakta is normally called as a ādadānasya bhakta. He goes to God for what? Not for the sake of God. He goes to God so that he can fulfill his desires of the world. So such a person is called a Preyarthi. What about Śreyarthi? For him, world is the means. You have to live in this world. There are needs to be fulfilled. Fine, he will be fulfilling all these needs, but his goal is not the world. His goal is God. Such a person is called a Mumukshu or Jitnyasu. So path of Śreyas, path of Preyas. Sometimes path of Preyas is called Pravritti Marga. Then path of Śreyas is called Nivritti Marga. Sometimes path of Preyas is called Karma Kanda. Then path of Śreyas is called Jnana Kanda. There are the two sections in the Vedas. Jnana Kanda, Karma Kanda. So Karma Kanda, entire Karma Kanda, all these rituals, they are nothing but the path leading to Preyas. Jnana Kanda, like Upanishad, they are the path leading to Śreyas. Karma Marga and the path of Śreyas is called Jnana Marga. So these are the two paths which are mentioned here. Now, what is said here? Śreyah anyat eva, preyah anyat eva. These two are two different paths. They are not similar paths. There are two different paths. Both of them are working for happiness, no doubt, but one is finding solution in the outer world, the other is finding solution within himself. Now this is the difference. So there are two different paths with two different goals. Śreyah anyacchreyo'nyadutaiva, preya anyacchreyo'nyadutaiva, both of them are different. Te ubhe, both of them. Puruṣaṃ nānārthe sinītaḥ. Both of them bind the person. Sinītaḥ means binding. Both of them bind. Now what do you mean both of them bind? Both of them bind means even a person who is following the path of prayas, a materialistic person who is seeking materialistic success. Now see, he is also bound. Means what? What it means is, he will also have to practice discipline. He will also have to concentrate his mind. He will also have to work hard. He will also have to have patience and perseverance. Now see, these are all the qualities which he must have in order to attain material success. He cannot live a loose life, a life of total indiscipline. No, even to gain material success, you will have to put a concentrated effort, disciplining yourself and pouring out your energy to gain your goal. Now this disciplining yourself is nothing but a kind of bondage. Sinītaḥ. So whether you are a prayarthi or a śreyarthi, one thing is for sure, you will have to discipline to achieve success. No doubt about it. Sinītaḥ. For example, people who strive for gold medals in Olympics, see the amount of effort, see the amount of discipline. The fast runners, they lose by a fraction of a second, not even 1 second, fraction of a second. To that extent, they have to be careful. There is a restriction with respect to their sleep, their day-to-day routine, their exercise, their food, diet, everything. Now this is called as binding yourself, bondage. A person who lives a loose life, he can never achieve anything. He will be a failure even in the path of prayers also. So sinītaḥ, both of them bind. Of course, spiritual path, there is a bondage. The whole path is nothing but disciplining. Disciplining the senses, disciplining the mind, giving right direction to the intellect, and so many other disciplines. So in both the path there are disciplines. But then what is the difference? Now see, here the term uses nānārthe. Te ubhe nānārthe. Arthe means goal. So the objective, the goal, they are two different things. The path is different, the goal is different. Te ubhe nānārthe puruṣaṃ sinītaḥ. Generally speaking, the goal is one, that is happiness. But this person sees happiness in the outer world. The prayarthi sees happiness in the outer world. The śreyarthi sees happiness in himself. Now this is the difference. nānārthe. Their understanding about life is so different. So their actions are different. The direction of their actions are different. The goals are different. But both these paths, they bind a person. Now what is the difference? Tayoḥ of the two. Śreya ādadānasya, the one person who has chosen the path of śreyas, sādhu bhavati. The person who has chosen the path of śreyas, everything good and auspicious happens to him. Now this is very interesting. The scriptures are full of do's and don'ts. Do's and don'ts are nothing but bondage. You are not free to do whatever you want to do. So it is nothing but bondage. Now see, the spiritual bondage finally leads you to freedom. This is a very interesting thing. It may appear bondage in the beginning, but later on, what is the blessing of this bondage? It gives you freedom. Now this is called as sādhu. What do you mean? Freedom. So in the beginning, so many do's and don'ts are there. You'll have to do all that. You'll have to do sadhana regularly, strictly. There are so many food items which you should not eat, you should give up. There are so many changes we need to bring about at different levels of our personality. This is spirituality. But what is the end result? The end result is mind becomes totally disciplined. The mind becomes free from all kinds of vasanas, from all kinds of addictions, from all kinds of compulsions, from all kinds of negativities like kama, krodha, raga, dvesha, ahankara, mamakara. You see? So when I follow these disciplines of spiritual life, what happens is the mind becomes free from all kinds of negativities, and such a mind becomes a disciplined mind, peaceful mind, cheerful mind, a tamed mind. So what is it? It is nothing but freedom. Such a mind becomes my best friend. It obeys my instruction. So what is it? That is freedom. See, scriptural bondage will lead you to total freedom. True freedom is this. The freedom of mind is called true freedom. What about the worldly freedom? So here is a person who says, I will do whatever I want to do. I believe in freedom. I don't believe in bondage. I will do whatever I want to do. This is called as worldly freedom. So he drinks and smokes and everything. And what is the end result? Chain smoker, drunkard, drug addict. What is that? It is nothing but bondage. You see, worldly freedom leads you to bondage. Spiritual bondage leads you to freedom. See the difference. Śreya ādadānasya sādhu bhavati. The one who chooses the path of Śreyas. What happens to him? Sādhu bhavati. Everything good and noble happens to him. When he follows the path of scriptures, the mind becomes a cheerful mind, a virtuous mind. And with that mind you do sadhana. Such a sattvic mind when you do sadhana. Finally you gain abidance in the self. You experience that infinite bliss of the self. And what happens after that? You are liberated from birth-death cycle. Now this liberation from birth-death cycle is the ultimate sadhu that can happen. Sadhu means good, noble. What is the ultimate good that can happen to us? The ultimate good is liberation from birth-death cycle. So the person who follows the path of Śreyas attains that goal. What about the other person, the one who follows the path of Preyas? Hīyate'rthādya. He gets bound by this world and is caught up in this samsara, in this birth-death cycle. So he gets deviated. Path of Preyas, path of Śreyas. One is the path where you try to find happiness in the outer world. The other is the path where you try to find happiness within. Are we following the path of Śreyas or Preyas? We have to do self-analysis. In different situations, we will have to check ourselves. Suppose a person shouts at you, abuses you. Naturally, you will be hurt. After being hurt, what is your reaction to that situation? If I am a prayarthi, I will say, that person shouted at me. So therefore, I am disturbed because of him. So therefore, from tomorrow onwards, I am not going to talk to him. I will cut off all relationship from him. I don't want him. May he suffer. I will curse also that person. Now this is the way of a prayarthi. So what is his understanding? I am hurt because of him. He abused me, therefore I am hurt. So who is responsible? He is responsible. Now see, prayarthi will always point fingers towards the external surrounding, towards the external world. Now the very same situation, if it is a shreyarthi, what will he say? He is also hurt because somebody has shouted at him. Now what will be his way of thinking? Now he is a person who has the knowledge of the scriptures. So his thinking will have that flavor of scriptural direction, scriptural thinking. So he will say, I am hurt. Who is responsible? It appears as though he is responsible, but he is not the one who is responsible. It is my own ego which is the cause of this hurt. So already there is a wound here. He has just placed his finger upon this wound. So the pain is there. I cannot blame him. It is my own exaggerated ego which was deflated by his piercing through his abusive words. So it is my own ego which is giving me pain. So therefore, what will be his attitude? He will thank that person mentally. Thank you very much for making me aware of my imperfections. So you are like my guru for me because you have shown how imperfect I am. Because this ego is something which I will never know. I thought everything was fine, but you have given me a possibility to work upon myself, to improve upon myself, because my greatest enemy is ego, and this ego you have pointed it out through your words. Maybe unconsciously, that is fine, but you have done something good for me. Now I know where to improve upon, how to improve upon, how to eradicate this ego. See, so that hurt feeling becomes a blessing in disguise in discovering my own true self, in eradicating my own ego. You see, so that calamity has become an opportunity for me to evolve spiritually. This is the way a Śreyarthi will analyze the situation. See, the situation is the same. Somebody shouted at you. A Prayarthi's way of thinking is, I am right, he is wrong, so therefore he should be eliminated from my life. See the way of thinking. Whereas a Śreyarthi thinks, no, if I am in pain, he is not responsible. He has only indicated my imperfection. He has only pointed out my imperfection. He has only made me aware of my already present imperfection. So he cannot be blamed. In fact, I must thank him. He is only an instrument in the hands of Lord to help me correct myself. So therefore I must thank him. Now see the way of thinking. Now in this process what happens? As far as a prayarthi is concerned, this situation has made no difference in his life. He has only stopped speaking to him. In fact, hīyate, it is said, in his mind there will be anger and revenge and all kinds of bitterness towards that person. This is the way a prayarthi will live after this situation. What about a shreyarthi? He will have only a feeling of gratitude towards the other person. And what is happening to his life? He spiritually evolves. Every such situation is made to improve oneself, to eradicate one's ego. Eradication of ego is the greatest tapas in this world, says Ramana Maharshi. Aham apetakam nijavibhanakam mahat idam tapo Ramana Vagya. Now this is called as sādhu bhavati. He evolves. Every situation is an opportunity for him to evolve. Sādhu bhavati. What about prayarthi? Hīyate. He only falls, he only gets distracted, he never attains the ultimate goal of life. This is what is said. So the one who is following the path of Śreyas ultimately gains the highest knowledge, the knowledge of the self, he gets liberated. The one who is following the path of Preyas, what happens to him? He is constantly busy trying to change the others around. This is a tragedy with a prayarthi. He thinks some problem is there with the people around. I am perfect. I am the right person in the wrong world according to him. So he is constantly busy trying to change his environment, adjust his environment, correct his environment, refine his environment. And what happens? Throughout his life he is busy trying to change the environment. Finally what happens is neither environment changes nor this person changes. Life is over. So such a life is called a wasted life, where no improvement has happened, no self-improvement has happened. No refinement of the mind intellect has happened. Such a life is called a wasted life in the language of spirituality. A great philosopher, there's a very famous quote. He says, when I was young, my entire effort was in trying to change the world, transform the world. I thought this is the way to happiness, to transform the world. But later on when I started growing up, when I became middle-aged, my direction was, of course, I cannot change the world, but at least my near and dear ones, my family members, I must be able to reform them. This was the direction. But now, when I am old, now I am very clear, the only way to happiness is reform oneself. So now, my entire attention is upon reforming myself. If only I could have had this understanding from the beginning, he says. So let us stop this all-out effort to beautify the world, to transform the world, or transform others around us. No, the most important thing is transforming oneself. This is the path of Śreyas. As far as choiceful situations are concerned, exercise your choice. Try to create a noble environment, a conducive environment, fine. But every time we may not be successful. The goal of our life, it should only be one: self-transformation. Someone asked Mahatma Gandhi, Bapuji, you are struggling for this freedom struggle, the independence of India. What if you don't succeed? There is all the possibility you may not even succeed. India may not be independent. Then Gandhiji said, dear, please understand one thing. As far as I am concerned, independent struggle for me is only a spiritual sadhana. That is not the goal. India's independence is not my goal. It is only self-reformation which is my goal. My spiritual evolution is my goal. For that, I have made this independent struggle a means. So, independent struggle is not the goal. Independent struggle is only a means to achieve spiritual evolution. Now, this is the attitude of a Śreyarthi. It may appear that he is also busy like anybody else. He is also trying to improve the world. It may appear so, but understand the goal is different. nānārthe. The goal is spiritual evolution. Atmano mokshartam jagat hītāya. So actions are meant for the welfare of the world, but the purpose is purification of the self. This is the path followed by Śreyarthi. What about Preyarthi? He is constantly busy trying to change others. And changing others is the most difficult thing in life. There are people who have married umpteen number of times. They have got divorced umpteen number of times. They are not happy. Keep on changing the partner, companion. Marry this lady, after 2 years divorce, another lady. After 2 years again divorce, another lady. Goes on. What is the problem here? The problem here is, I think I am perfect, others are imperfect. But what is the truth? The truth is, I am the only one imperfect in this perfect world, beautifully managed by a perfect God. In this world, I have not come to change others. To change others, to change the world, there is a Bhagavan there. It is not my responsibility. I have come to this world to change myself. This world is like a hospital. Why do we go to hospital? We go to hospital not to treat other patients. No, we are in the hospital means we have some kind of sickness, some kind of disease. So what are we supposed to do? Follow the routine prescribed by the doctor, the medicines, take rest, take medicine at the right time, become free from disease and get out of that hospital. This is the goal. The very fact that I am born into this world shows that I have not attained that state of perfection. So the goal of life should only be one: liberation. So Śreyarthi is the person who chooses this path, for whom God alone is the goal, world is only a means. So such a person with this direction, when he does sadhana, everything good, noble and auspicious happen to him. Now a question may come. Preyas and Śreyas, we all have this choice to choose either of them. Why is it that majority of the people choose Preyas in their life? Though Śreyas is the one which takes us to the ultimate good, why is it that majority of the people whom we see around, why is it that they take the path of Preyas? So this question is answered in the next verse. So next verse we will see in the next class. Om Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, Sarve santu niramayah, Sarve bhadrani pashyantu, Ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhavet, Asato ma sadgamaya, Tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, Mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. So in the last class, we were seeing the first verse of the second valli in the first chapter. So Yamaraj starts the teaching. So first, Lord Yamaraj describes what is the path of Śreyas and what is the path of Preyas. So what does he say? Anyacchreyo'nyadutaiva preya. This path of Śreyas and Preyas, they are two different paths. Te ubhe nānārthe. They lead to different goals, different objectives. Puruṣaṃ sinītaḥ. And both these paths, they bind the person. But then what is the difference then? Tayoḥ śreya ādadānasya sādhu bhavati. The one who takes the path of Śreyas, everything good and auspicious happens to him. Hīyate'rthādya preyo vṛṇīte. But the one who takes the path of Preyas, he has a downfall. He gets distracted from the very purpose of life. So in the last class, we had seen what is this path of Śreyas and Preyas. So Preyarthi is the one who tries to find happiness by creating a conducive world around himself. So the purpose of life is only one: gain happiness by a favorable environment. So this path is called the path of Preyas. So what are the factors taken into account? The physical, the emotional, the intellectual. When I have all comforts and conveniences, when I have enough wealth to take care of my physical needs, and when I have people around me who love me, respect me, trust me, whose wavelength matches with my wavelength, who are tuned to me, in such an environment I find myself happy, So therefore I create such an environment. So this is the path of Preyas. And what is the path of Śreyas? The Śreyarthi feels, rightly feels, that this dependence of environment cannot give me happiness all the time, because environment is not in my control. Happiness is something I want all the time, but environment is something which cannot be made conducive all the time. So therefore I must try to make myself independent of this environment. For that I must know what is the source of happiness. So he starts going deep within, and he finds that the state of mind is something which is directly related to happiness. If the mind is peaceful, I am happy even in an unconducive environment. This we see. And if the mind is disturbed, I am miserable even in a conducive environment. So therefore what is important is the state of mind, what is important is the peace of mind. But in order to get the peace of mind, I must have thorough understanding about life, about myself. So finally this person comes into the path of self-knowledge. So it is only by abiding in the self that a person can be truly happy, truly independent from the external environment. So therefore here is a person who goes within, who reforms himself, who strives to gain the knowledge of the self. Now this knowledge of the self is the very essence of the entire Katha Upanishad. So Śreyarthi, Preyarthi, different objectives, different path, different goals, different understanding about life. So these are the two paths mentioned here. So naturally a question comes, why is it that people choose Preyas? Why is that only minority of the people in the society, they choose Śreyas? So therefore this question is answered in the next verse. We will see the next verse, verse number 2, page number 68. A very famous verse. Śreyascha preyascha manushyametah tau samparitya vivinakti dhīrah śreyo hi dhīrobhi preyaso vṛṇīte preyo mando yogakshemat vṛṇīte. Śreyascha preyascha manushyametah tau samparitya vivinakti dhīrah śreyo hi dhīrobhi preyaso vṛṇīte preyo mando yogakshemat vṛṇīte. Yes. So what does Yamraji say? Manushyam Śreyah cha Preyah cha etah. Etah, they approach. Whom? Manushyam. These two paths approach a human being. What are the paths? Śreya and preya. Both these paths approach every human being. Now, among human beings also there are two kinds of people. One is dhīrah, the intelligent one. One is mandah, the unintelligent one. So these are the two classifications made amongst human beings. The wise one, the ignorant one. The intelligent one, the unintelligent one. So what does this intelligent person do? What is his characteristic? Śreyas and Preyas both, they come to this person. What does he do? So dhīrah, the wise man, the one who has dhi is called dhīra, the wise man. Generally dhīra means courageous person. That's how it is translated in Hindi, etc. But actual meaning is dhi, the one who has dhi is called dhīra. Dhi means intelligence, right understanding. So this is a term which will come again and again in Katha Upanishad, implying that the most important thing in life is right understanding, right knowledge. So that's why Bhagavad Gita also says, Nahi jnānena sadruṣaṃ pavitram iha vidyate. There is nothing greater than knowledge. So right understanding is the greatest treasure in this world, because right understanding determines everything in life. So, dhīraha, such a wise person, what does he do? Tau samparitya. Samparitya means thoroughly examining from all sides. Tau samparitya vivinakti. Vivinakti means pruthak karoti, meaning separates. So, thoroughly understanding, thoroughly examining śreyas and preyas, when they come to him, he thoroughly examines with a sharp intelligence, analyzes the whole thing, examines the whole thing, and then he separates what is good, what is bad, what is right, what is wrong. He separates. And then what does he do? Dhīraha preyasaha śreyah hi vṛṇīte. Then what does he do after separating? So he separates. So situations come to a person. So in this situation he analyzes what is śreyas and what is preyas. And then preyasaha śreyah vṛṇīte. Vṛṇīte means he chooses. What does he choose? Śreyas he chooses. Over what? Over preyas. So he chooses śreyas over preyas. So in any situation, he analyzes a situation, understands what is śreyas, what is preyas, and chooses śreyas over preyas. This is what an intelligent person does. What about a manda person, unintelligent one? Mandaha yogakshemat preyah vṛṇīte. A manda, an unintelligent person, what does he choose? Preya vṛṇīte. He doesn't do this analysis, etc. So when a situation comes to him, without proper analysis, whatever he loves to do, he does. And generally people love prayers. That's how we have seen the definition. What I like is prayers, what is good is śreyas. So this person doesn't do any kind of analysis. Whatever he likes, according to his inclinations, tendencies, samskaras, without any struggle, without any thinking, without any examining. So naturally everybody will be attracted to prayers. So this manda person, he chooses prayers. But why is he choosing it? Yoga kshema, for the sake of yoga kshema, for the sake of fulfilling worldly needs. So this is the translation. Śreyascha preyascha manushyametaha. Śreyas and preyas, they come to every human being. Tau samparitya vivinakti dhīraha. The wise person, he thoroughly examines and separates them as śreyas and preyas. Śreyo hi dhīro bhi preyaso vṛṇīte. And dhīra, the wise man, he chooses śreyas over preyas. Now here you can see Śreyo hi dhīro abhi preyaso vṛṇīte. So this abhi has to go with vṛṇīte. So therefore it becomes abhivṛṇīte. It's one term. Abhi plus vṛṇīte, abhivṛṇīte. That's how we have to construct the word. So the wise person chooses śreyas over prayas. Mandaha yogakshemat preyah vṛṇīte. The manda, the unintelligent person, chooses prayas. So this is the literal translation of this verse. Now let us analyze. So the first line says that for everyone, we all have to face situations in life. There are so many situations we have to face. Every situation is a mix of śreyas and preyas. In every situation you will find the way of śreyas and the way of preyas. The situation comes as a mixture, not very clear as to what is śreyas and preyas. But in every situation, these two are always there. How do they come? They come as situations to be faced. Life is nothing but constant interaction with the world. Again and again we have to face a lot of situations in life. We have to respond to those situations. And every situation is a mixture of śreyas and preyas, meaning every situation can be handled in two different ways. A way in which you can spiritually evolve the path of śreyas. Another way in which you can spiritually devolve. Which path you take will decide your future. The situation will come to everyone. And you cannot say that, no, I have not taken Śreyas because there is only Preyas available here. No, in every situation there is both Śreyas and Preyas. There is no situation where there is only Preyas. No, it is not possible. That's the meaning here. So everyone has this choice. Situations come, Śreyas and Preyas, both of them come. Now, what does this intelligent person do? Tau samparitya dhīraha vivinakti. So what is samparitya? Now here the term samparitya is very important. So Bhagavan Shankaracharya says samparitya means samyak parigamya manasa alochya guru laghavam. Samyak parigamya, thoroughly examining from all sides. Manasa alochya, thinking well with the mind. What? Guru laghavam. What is Guru and what is laghavam? So what does this wise person do? He analyzes the situation. He weighs the pros and cons. What is important? What is unimportant? What is that which will help me grow in spirituality, and what is that which will obstruct my spiritual path? What are the short-term consequences and what are the long-term consequences when I follow a particular path? Now this is called as thoroughly analyzing. Samyak parigamya manasa alochya. All aspects are thoroughly analyzed. He does a lot of churning while handling a situation. Clearly tries to understand these two, Śreyas and Preyas. And this way, what does he do? Vivinakti. Vivinakti means to separate. So with thorough analysis, he separates. It is exactly like, suppose you put sand and sugar, a mixture, and put it. So then ants come. So when the ants come, they have no problem. They select only the sugar and leave the sand. Now this is called as vivinakti, separating, prithak karoti. So there is sand, there is sugar, the ant takes only the sugar and goes away. In the same way, we have this bird, Hamsa Pakshi, swan. It is said that it has nīrakṣīra viveka. So you mix water with milk and put it in front of it. It is said this bird will just take the milk and leave the water. So in the same way, this dhīra is also a paramahamsa. Paramahamsa means he is like a swan. So what does he do? First of all, he separates. The situation is analyzed, and finally he has two paths, the path of Preyas, the path of Śreyas. His intelligence is able to decipher these two paths, Śreyas and Preyas. And then what does he do? After separating, separation is the first step. Following the path of Śreyas is the second step. So separate, choose the path of Śreyas and follow the path of Śreyas. So this is what he does. So sau samparitya vivinakti dhīraha. Then what does he do? Dhīraha preyasaha śreyah hi abhi-vṛṇīte. He chooses the path of Śreyas over Preyas. So now we have to understand what is the kind of thinking he has when he analyzes a situation. Now see, the path of Preyas also presents, it is also a path. It also tells you how to exist in this world. Now existence is something which I want. I want to exist. Now the path of Preyas will tell you how to exist in this world, in this body. Worldly existence it will teach you. What about path of Śreyas? It will teach you the existence as self. Both of them, the path of Śreyas and the path of Preyas, they are talking about existence. The path of Preyas talks about worldly existence. Now this wise person thinks, worldly existence is full of defects. I have to exist in my body. Body is impermanent. So worldly existence has got a lot of defects. But as far as spiritual existence is concerned, existing as self, as Satchidananda Atma, there are no defects. It is free from all defects. Whereas worldly existence, bodily existence, it has got defects: birth, death, old age, disease. Now this is called as analysis. So the path of Preyas is giving me a path of existing. The path of Śreyas is giving me another path. Existing as the self is the path of Śreyas. Existing as body is the path of Preyas. Path of Preyas is full of defects. Now see, this is called as analysis. I want to be happy. Ananda is something which I want. Path of Preyas gives one type of Ananda. It is called as Vishayananda, the joy born out of sense pleasures. This is the path of Preyas. The path of Śreyas, it gives me Atmananda or Brahmananda, the joy of the self, because self is nothing but Ananda Sarupa. So Preyas gives me Vishayananda, Śreyas gives me Atmananda. Which Ananda is better? He thinks, Sampariti. Now Vishayananda is full of defects. What are the defects? Sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha, as Nachiketa has said. These pleasures are shobhava, impermanent. Moreover, it drains away the vitality of the senses. Moreover, these pleasures are uncertain. Moreover, it makes me a slave of my mind and the senses. It is addictive in nature. So these are all the defects of Vishayananda. What about Atmananda? There are no defects at all. That is my own nature. It is free from all defects. Now see. So the path of Preyas binds me to the world, to the mind, to the senses. The path of Śreyas makes me free. So with respect to existence, with respect to Ananda, with respect to bondage, the path of Preyas binds me to the birth-death cycle, whereas the path of Śreyas, it makes me free from the birth-death cycle. The path of Preyas takes me away from my nature. The path of Śreyas takes me to my nature. And my nature, when I abide, it is effortless abidance. I am free from all kinds of maintaining my Ananda and existence. No maintenance needed. It's an effortless thing because it is my own nature. So in all ways, I see the path of Śreyas is far superior to the path of Preyas. Now this is called Samparitya Vivinakti. Who does it? Dhīraha, the one who has intelligence, right understanding, the ability to think and discriminate. And therefore, what does he do? Shreyahi dhīrobhi preyaso vṛṇīte. Therefore, he chooses Śreyas over Preyas. Exactly like what Nachiketa did. When Yamaraj presented in front of him everything, the joy of family, the joy of wealth, the joy of power, the joy of all these heavenly pleasures, when everything was pointed, what did he say? Now he did that Samparitya Vivinakti. Oh Lord, they are all full of defects. Shobhava, impermanent. Sarvendriyanam jarayanti tejaha. All the vitalities are drained away. Mind and the senses become weak. And as far as a long life is concerned, api sarvam jivitam alpameva. All this long life, etc. is nothing but short life only, because someday or the other this person has to die. And as far as the wealth which you are offering, it is nahi vittena tarpaniyo manushyaha. Any amount of wealth is not going to satisfy a person. So this is called Samparitya Vivinakti. So therefore Nachiketa says, I want only that knowledge of Śreyas. That's all what I want. Fine, we understand the wise people choose the path of Śreyas, but why is it that Manda choose the path of Preyas? So naturally, answer is very clear. The Manda chooses the path of Preyas because he is Manda. Manda means what? Unintelligent. So what does this manda person see? So in front there is a sense pleasure. So he sees only the joy of this sense object. But after indulgence there comes a pain. He is unable to see the pain. You see this? He is able to see the initial pleasure, but he is unable to see the final pain. Now this is called mandata of the buddhi, the dullness of our intelligence. Indulgence in the beginning, agre amritopamam, in the beginning it is very joyful, joy giving, but in the end there is suffering. When I am not able to see the final suffering, when I am only able to see the initial joy, so there is an inability to penetrate and see through things. That inability is called mandata, dullness of the intellect. Majority of the people, they don't see any pain after indulgence, they see only pleasure. But even among those who have studied the scriptures, who have analyzed the scriptures properly, even we find that they have gone through the pleasure and they have experienced pain also. And after going through the pain, they decide also, from now onwards I am not going to indulge because it is nothing but pain. But after a few days again it is forgotten. Again when the sense object comes in front, he forgets all his learning. Again he is tempted by that initial pleasure. He again indulges in that object. After indulgence, again there is misery. Again he says, he takes a vow, no, I will not indulge again, it is nothing but misery. But again after a few days, again he is tempted by that object. Now this is called mandata, you see. This is another type of mandata. Majority of the people, they don't see the pain after indulgence. Even among those who see the pain, they easily forget it within few days and again they look forward towards indulgence. Now this is also a mandata. So in Vedanta, we talk about two types of vairagya. One is prasuti vairagya and the other is smashana vairagya. What is prasuti vairagya? So this lady who is going through the pain of labor pain. So she says, no more child, because the pain is so much. This is the last child. She says that. But next year again she becomes pregnant. Again in that pain she says, this is the last one. But next year again she becomes pregnant. In those times, olden times, they used to have minimum 10. So year after year, one child is brought out. Now this is called prasuti vairagya. When that pain comes, you say, no, enough. But then when the pain goes away, again you fall back into the same temptation, does the same mistake, repents for some time, takes a vow. You take a vow that no more, enough is enough. But again after a few days you come back and you do the same mistake. This is called as prasuti vairagya. Then there is another called smashana vairagya. What is smashana? Some near and dear one dies and you are miserable. And then you take a vow. I will not be attached to anyone from now on. But without your notice, you start getting attached to so many people, children, your grandchildren. So every time death happens, there is a vairagya. Suddenly you think that everything in this world is impermanent. But how many days? Only few days. And again we forget everything. Again we fall back. This has happened even for Pandavas also, says Srimad Bhagavatam. So after the war, or after all those killing and all that, Yudhishthira becomes the king and slowly within few years they settle in their family, and Bhagavatam says they forgot about the ultimate thing, which is death. They became totally engrossed in all family matters, forgetting the ultimate reality of life. So if Pandavas, such things can happen to them, what to talk of us? So this is called as mandata of the intellect. The inability of the intellect to see the reality of life, getting carried away by the external attractions of life, by the impermanent attractions of life, and the inability to see the permanent reality of life. Now this is called manda buddhi. I am only able to see the short-term pleasure but not long-term pain. I am only able to see the short-term freedom but not long-term bondage. This is called mandata, dullness of the intellect. In the Upanishad, Ishavasya Upanishad, it is said, Hiranmayena patrena satyasyapi hitam mukham tattvam puruṣaṃ apavrunu satya dharmāya drishtaye. It is said, the face of the truth is covered with golden lid. Hiranmayena patrena, Hiranmaya patram, the lid, golden lid. Satyasya apihitam mukham, the truth is covered by a golden lid. This is what is said here. So what is the meaning of that? So a person who is a seeker of truth, he goes there, but the moment he sees this lid, he has gone to know the truth. But the moment he sees this lid which is golden, which is so attractive, so he forgets his goal. He had gone there to seek the truth. Now he forgets the goal, he carries that lid and comes back. He totally ignores the ultimate purpose of life, which is truth. This is the mistake which happens to us who are manda buddhis, getting carried away by the attractions of the world, the glitz and glamour of the world, the external appearances of the world, to such an extent that we forget the very purpose of life. There are very many people who say, Swamiji, why did God create this world? Why did God create this world? So much of suffering. The answer is, God doesn't want you to be in this world, but you wanted this world. It was not God's choice, it was your choice that you want this world. Throughout Bhagavad Gita, if there is one teaching which is constantly hammered again and again, it is the teaching that don't go to this world, come to me, come to me, come to me. Yanti devavrata devan, pitrunyanti pitruvrata, bhutani yanti bhutejyaha, yanti mad yachinopi mam. So whatever you choose in this world, you go to such worlds. The worshippers of the devatas, they go to Devaloka. The worshippers of the bhuta, they go to Bhutaloka. Worshippers of the pitru, they go to Pitraloka. Meaning whatever you choose in this world, you go to that world. But those who choose me, they come to me. This is what Bhagavan says. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mamanusmara yudhyacha. Therefore all the time in this world, while living, choose me alone. Perform your actions for me. Mad karmakrit, mad paramo bhava. Perform everything for my sake, then finally you will reach me. So it's very clear, why are we in this world? Not because Bhagavan has pushed us into this world, but because we have chosen this world. We have chosen Preyas, so therefore we are in this world. So let us not blame God for being in this world. It is because we disobeyed God that we are in this world. It is because we ignored and rejected God that we are in this world. Now this understanding has to be clear. Otherwise, throughout your life, you will be only complaining and grumbling, why God did this to me? There are so many unfortunate beings throughout their life complaining and grumbling and scolding God. That's all. That's only because our understanding is wrong. You have chosen Preyas, therefore you are in this world. You choose Śreyas, you will be out of this world, you will be with Bhagavan. The message of Bhagavad Gita is this: come to Bhagavan, choose the path of Śreyas. So this has to be understood. But what is our problem? Our problem is mandata, dullness of the intellect. We don't know what is good for us. We choose the pleasurable and give up what is good. Bhajagovindam says, Yadyapi loke maranam sharanam tadapina munchati papacharanam. We know that the final truth is death. We know that someday or the other we have to leave this world. We have to give up this body. It is very clear. Even the rank criminal knows it. But then, even by living those few years what we live, tadapina munchati papacharanam, constantly we are doing one papa after another. In spite of knowing that whatever I earned here I have to leave and go. In spite of that, I do all kinds of criminal, unlawful, immoral things. Why are we doing it? The inability to see. This inability to see is called mandata, the dullness of the intellect. The wise people, they constantly see only one thing in front of them, that is death. Death is going to come today or tomorrow it is going to come. So let me live a good life, at least let me progress a little bit in this path of spirituality. Then this life, I can say, it is worth lived. Few steps may I evolve. Even if I am not able to reach the ultimate, doesn't matter, at least few steps I must evolve. If that much is done, my life is sarthaka, rightly lived. This way the wise people, they again and again choose the path of Śreyas. But the others, they just choose the path of prayers and fall. Now death, meditation upon death is a wonderful thing. It makes you alert. It makes you serious about life. It makes you fear doing something wrong, sinful. So meditation upon death is a wonderful thing. Let us not ignore this great blessing called death. In Bhagavatam, there is a story. So here is this person who was chased by some lion, tiger or something. So he runs and runs and runs. And finally he falls into a well, a dry well. But as he was falling, he catches hold of one branch of a tree which was extending into this well. So he held on to that branch, and as he held on, it was almost about to break. While holding on to this branch, he had knocked one honeycomb. You can just imagine, this person is hanging on this branch. Outside this lion, etc., tiger or whatever, it is waiting. It is an empty well. If you fall, death is sure because there is no water there. And even if you don't die, there are so many creatures there, the snakes and so many other things. So even if you don't die, the other beings will ensure that you will be dead. The snakes, they are ready to swallow you alive. So here is this person holding on to this branch, and while falling he had knocked one honeycomb. From that honeycomb there is this honey dripping. Now here is a man for whom death is sure. Now what is he doing? He sticks out his tongue to taste this honey. What a beautiful example given here by Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam says our condition is like that. We know for sure that death is going to happen, but we don't bother about that, and we indulge in all kinds of papakarmas as though there is nothing called death. Now this is called mandata of the intellect, not able to see the reality, not able to see the final state of affairs. Only the immediate pleasure is seen, like that person licking that honey. In this moment, yes, I get honey, but what will happen after some time? I am going to die. He is not bothered. So all these examples are given to understand how the the intelligence is the most important thing in spirituality. The ability to think right, think deep. Another example given is the monkey, how these people, they catch monkeys. So they say, so the places where these monkeys visit, some lake or whatever, they say that they hang some bottles filled with roasted peanuts in some bottles, and the mouth of the bottle is such that open palm enters into the bottle, but the closed fist can never come out of the bottle. That's how the mouth of that bottle is arranged. So these monkeys, they come to drink water, and because of the smell they look around and very clearly they see these roasted peanuts in those transparent bottles. So then they put their hand, they hold on to one fistful of peanuts. Now they are not able to withdraw their hand, take out their hand from that bottle. They are stuck there. And now these people who want to catch monkeys, they come. So they are seeing those people are coming. Now this fellow, he doesn't want to leave this peanut. If you leave, you can easily escape. You can easily withdraw your hand. But then peanuts are important. Now just imagine what is important, a handful of peanut or your life. Because once they catch you, you are imprisoned throughout your life. What is important, a handful of peanuts or freedom? This monkey is not able to think. So these people who come, they easily catch these monkeys and take them away. Now this is called mandata of the intellect, not able to discriminate, not able to understand what is important, what is unimportant, what is beneficial, what is defective. The inability of the intellect to think, this is called mandata, dullness of the intellect. Pujya Gurudev used to give a beautiful story. So there was this land where the law was anyone can become the king, but only for 5 years. But after 5 years, you will be transported to another side of a huge river infested with animals. So 5 years you can be the king, but after 5 years, you will be put into that forest across the river. So this used to happen. So 5 years the king used to enjoy life, and after 5 years he would be mercilessly, brutally taken across the river and put there. And for the other side, all the animals would just make a feast of him. This used to happen. So once what happened, there was this choice of the king. Nobody was coming forward because nobody wanted to die. And finally a youngster comes. He says, I would become the king. And even when he was the king, 5 years, he ruled very well and he was very happy. Normally what happens is the king would become more and more sad as the years roll by, because he knows that he is going to die. But this youngster was very happy. And even when the 5 years got over, he was very happy. So naturally the guards who were supposed to take him across, while rowing the boat, they asked, how is it that you are so happy? And then what they find, when they reach the other side, there his family is waiting there. So what he has done, in these 5 years, he had cleared the whole land and made a beautiful palace there. He has cleared all those beastly animals, and now he had constructed another beautiful kingdom on the other side when he was in power in these 5 years. Now this is a very symbolic story. What is this 5 years? It is nothing but our lifespan. And what is this going across and being killed by these animals? It is nothing but death. So even when we live our life, live a life in such a way that even after death, you continue to experience the bliss. In such a way, our life should be planned, lived. And this is called as dhīra. It's a beautiful story. Even when we are living, our life should be such that we must choose the path of Śreyas, and we must be able to welcome the physical death with cheerfulness, knowing well that physical death is not actually death, it is just dropping this old dilapidated body My existence continues as the Supreme Self. When this knowledge is gained by following the path of Śreyas, a person becomes free from all kinds of worries, anxieties, etc. related to life and its happening. But a person who is mandaha, what is the path he takes? Mandaha preya vṛṇīte. He takes the path of Preyas. Why does he take the path of Preyas? So here the term used is yogakshemat. Yogakshema. I am sure all of you must have heard this term Yogakshema because it comes in Bhagavad Gita also, in a very famous verse. So we have to understand what this Yogakshema is. So it is said here, an unintelligent one chooses the path of Preyas under the pressure of Yogakshema. This is what is said here. So now we have to understand what this Yogakshema is. Simply translated, Yogakshema is fulfilling one's own worldly needs. Simple translation. Bhagavan Shankaracharya says, Yogaha means what? Apraptasya praptihi yogaha, praptasya rakshanam kshemaha. This is the definition given by Bhagavan. Acquiring what you don't have is yoga. Preserving what you already have is kshema. Now, what does it actually mean? So this will be an interesting topic. We will see it in the next class. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Mrityorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.